Hello, good morning. It is early this morning. We are at St. Augustine Beach and we're here on a family vacation. And regardless of the fact that we're on vacation, it doesn't mean that we can't still have a freshly milled wheat breakfast for breakfast. So I'm headed back to the unit so I can get started on breakfast for the family. So come join me and I'll show you how you can do this for yourself and your family as well at home or on vacation. Wave to the camera. The icing's already about thawed. So while I'm at the house, before we leave for vacation, I'm going to go ahead and put the sugar, salt, and the sodas and the flour in the recipe. I just milled this. This is actually a popcorn bowl that my mom gave me, but it fits nicely under my wheat mill, so I like to use it to catch my flour. And I've got my scale. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to tear my scale and I'm going to measure out. I actually want to make, I wrote on these things so I remember what I put in them. I'm going to make 2 batches of this. If I don't use both of them, it's fine. I know I'll use at least one. And then I want to have another one in case we want to have this twice. I actually thought about doing it a 3rd time because we are going to be there for over 2 weeks. So I may go back and make another one. It just depends. For the recipe for the flour, I'm going to do 360 grams and I'm going to measure that out. Just trust me that that's what I'm doing. It looks like I'm going to have to mill a little bit more flour. All right, there we are, 360 dead on. I'll do the second one later. Let me know, do you weigh out your sodas or do you just measure those by the teaspoon? I'm still new to the measuring component of things. Gonna get me a fork so I can stir. All right, so I need 2 teaspoons of baking powder. This is my 1 teaspoon measuring. Let's do 1, 2, and I want to get this incorporated. I'll mix this up in just a second. I'm going to do a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I like to pour that over something else besides my recipe in case I have a little bit of spill. And obviously this is not super perfect, but this type of recipe doesn't need to necessarily be super perfect. All right, and then I need 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So I'm going to use my 1/2 twice. This box is about empty. Okay. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and just get this incorporated really well. So I won't have to worry about doing that later. Make sure. There's nothing more disgusting than biting into a thing of baking powder or baking soda that didn't get, there was a little clump of it that it didn't get stirred in well. Ugh. If you've ever done that before, let me know because that is not pleasant. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and I feel like I've got that good incorporated. I'm torn on whether or not I should add my sugar now or if I should add my sugar later, because obviously it's going to get frozen when I get there. And you know what? I think I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait on the sugar. I'll add the sugar in when I get there just because I'm concerned. I know that my flour is going to be frozen. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait on the sugar, and I'm just going to do the flour, the salt, and the sodas. And let me show you this. I've gone ahead and I've made up 2 containers of icing. This is 1 cup in each container. What this is, I'm just going to call it the ingredients for this. So when I looked up the blueberry butter swim, I found a white flour recipe and I adapted it to work for how I needed it to work for freshly milled wheat flour. And one recipe that I looked at, the type of icing recipe was just confectionate sugar and water. And you can certainly do a very basic icing like that. But this is actually the same recipe that I use for the cinnamon rolls that's in my cinnamon roll video. Super good. I'm just going to call it out to you. This is what that I'm calling out. It made these 2 batches. You do 2 ounces of cream cheese, 7 tablespoons of butter, a half teaspoon of vanilla, 2 tablespoons of milk. You can do more if you want it to be thinner, 1.5 cups of confectionate sugar, and then a 4th teaspoon of salt, and just mix that together really well, and then you've got a great icing. And this is already made for me, so all I have to do when we get down there is just take it out and put it in the refrigerator. I could go ahead and put it in the refrigerator when I get down there, so it'll be thawed by the time we get ready to use it. And of course, if you're wanting to make this at the house, if you're not planning on traveling, you can just go ahead and, instead of freezing this, go ahead with the rest of the recipe and just make it right away. I've actually done that several times already, and it is so good. Alright, so back to the kitchen at the beach. I'm not sure if I'm going to be in our rental unit or if I'm going to be in my parents' RV, but either way, I'll see you in the next kitchen. Okay. I have the bag of flour that I mixed up before we came. This has been frozen, so it's got everything that I showed you before. I'm going to add the sugar to it. You can show the sugar. I'm going to add my sugar. I've got my butter ready to go and my buttermilk. I'm going to go ahead and turn my oven on to 450 so it can start getting hot. And I'm going to check. I'm going to lower this one. I don't want that too high. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is dump my flour in here. And then I'm going to add in my 4th cup of sugar. I'm going to mix that around. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in the oven because I want my butter to be melted. And I'm going to watch it because I don't want it to overcook. But I can put that in there and let that heat up everything. I'm going to go ahead and measure out. I'm going to do 1.5 cups, and then if I need to add a little bit more. Ooh. It's going to be all of my buttermilk right there. Now, if this were freshly milled wheat, if it had not been frozen, I would use my hands to stir it up, but it is so cold because it just came out of the freezer. I'm going to do my best to stir it with a spoon and a fork. Let me see if I can get any more of that to drain out. You can show the bowl. A little bit more. every last drop out of there. Now, I end up having to add a little bit of Alright, so these are blueberries that we picked at the house. It's gotten a little bit cold. Salt need to be used. Trying to get right at 2 cups. I haven't tried these with frozen, but I would imagine that it would be fine with frozen blueberries. Let's see. Check on my butter. Not yet melted. You just want to make sure it's mixed in really well. All your flour is moistened. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and add in part of my blueberries. Gently stir. Get those mixed in. Straight down inside the bowl. Out of the oven. I might have taken it out a minute before. Got our blueberry mixture ready to go. Put that down in there. I'm going to pat it out in just a minute. Just remember your pan is hot. Okay, I want to actually press it so that the butter is coming over onto the top of the batter. What do you think? Sprinkle some blueberries around the top. All right. Alright, so I'm going to actually check it in about 10 to 12 minutes. I'll check it. The recipe that I converted said to do it at 450 for 25 minutes. In the oven at my house, that is a little bit hot. It burned it the first time I did it. So I'm going to check it in about 10 to 12 minutes. I'm going to rotate the pan, and then I'll check it again in another 10 to 12 minutes, and we'll see how it looks. Alright, take this out. Super hot, super heavy. Ooh, I really normally like to use 2 hands when I lift this out. Alright, get a knife. Okay, of course, remember I had all of that butter on there. I really think it's done. I don't know, I think I'm going to let it cook just another minute or 2. Okay, so we're going to call this done, and we're going to cut into it and see how it tastes. The way that we usually eat here when we're at the beach with the family is we travel over to my parents' deck because they have plenty of room for us to eat outside. So Blueberry Better Swim is about to go next door. And I've got the icing ready to go. Come along. And turn it on. Film me. Kick the door closed. Filming. Bring it over here. Yeah.
She's making me film her.
Oh, so we're having lunch.
No, it's breakfast.
It ain't breakfast. That was 3 hours ago.
Ooh. Okay.
Video.
Can't really see it because of the sun and shadows.
Life's a beach.
That's hot.
Just, I don't want a real big one, Tracy. I'm afraid to put too much in. Too much smoke. Get my Bible out of it.
These are our 2 blueberry bushes at our home, mine and my husband, and I'm picking a few blueberries. I'm trying to let them stay on the bush as long as possible so they'll get big and fat and sweet. I have purchased artificial snakes in an effort to deter the birds, and that helped more at the beginning than it has at the end. And so what I'll do is I come in here and I'll move them around, so hopefully the birds will feel like it's a different snake each time. See, here's one that's yellow. Move the yellow snake around to a different spot. Oop, don't fall, snake. Oops. Ah! It's easier to do this with 2 hands. There. And here's one. We'll move him. Let's see. Look at these big, beautiful berries. Ooh, that sun is hot. Hot, hot, hot.